Welcome to Holy Fuck. Holy Fuck. Holy Fuck. Two gals on the prowl for enlightenment, sex, and all things holy. Holy Fuck. Each week, beauty alchemist and transformational coach and speaker, Catherine McClelland, and spiritual healer and life coach, Krista Kim, discuss navigating spiritual consciousness in a real human body. Stumbling through dating, relationships, and everyday life, all while maintaining a fucking sense of humor.
Welcome, everyone. This is Catherine.
Hey, everybody. This is Krista.
Hey, Krista. Wow. Let's see what's going on. There's been a lot going on around here. We've had some healing, and we've had some dating, and we've had some loving, and gosh.
Well, you might have had some loving. I don't know if I've had enough loving.
Well, I've gotten some phone loving. I'm
okay.
not getting some. I didn't mean sex, actually.
Oh, okay.
I meant loving, like feeling like I've been surrounded with some loving. All different kinds, you know?
Maybe that's my problem. I identify sex with love. I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's my problem too, honey, sometimes. Gets me into a lot of hot water. Weren't we talking about that one time about how we identified ourselves because it was too scary to be sexual, so then we had to fall in love with the guy?
Yes, I think we did talk about that.
I think we did talk about that. I think that's a real thing. But I'm not doing it anymore, apparently.
Finally, we're growing up.
Well, it's just, I feel like what is happening is I'm separating my sexual response from my, it's complicated.
Because I was about to say separated from your heart response. I'm like, no, we don't want to pull the heart out of it. We want to keep the heart in it too.
Right? It's like I'm separating something from something. So, you know what? It's like while it's happening, my heart is open, but I don't have to be. It's not, it's possessiveness that is falling away. Like there's a sense that I can be free and be sexual and have my heart open. Like I don't have to close my heart because it's not the love of my life or my husband or something sitting across from me.
But do you think that has something to do then with either protecting ourselves from going into relationships that are deeper?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess I was thinking like, well, if we just keep it like sexual and with partners who it's just fun and yeah, they feel good and we love them while we're with them, but then we can easily detach afterward. Is that because we aren't really going into intimate space? And obviously there's different levels of intimacy, but.
Want my words on that?
Please.
I'm thinking.
Oh.
That we can have everything. So what I used to do was fall in love with sex and call it by someone else's name. So, oxytocin or whatever you want to call it activating in my system. But I didn't look at who the person was. I didn't look to see if they were actually a match for me. Of course, they're a good person. Like, 99% of the people on the planet are good people. There are a few unhealthy ones, but let's leave that for another day. But all I'm saying is it's just not right for me. But it doesn't mean it's not right for me sexually. And I care about them and I'm caring with them and I give to them as much as like, hey, let's go have dinner. Well, I'm going to give dinner to you and I'm going to receive dinner from you and we're going to be intimate. And it doesn't even have to get sexual, but it's an exchange. And then you're like, is this my person or not? Sometimes it happens sexually where you're giving to someone it's very connected and you're really into it. And then you find out that they're, serial killers or something. And you're like, maybe not. Okay, I haven't gone that far.
Fuck, you're a serial killer?
But like their values are different, or they don't want a relationship, which means they have different values than me.
Well, I think what you said earlier, I'm still kind of thinking about it. The part where you said I fell in love with sex, but then I gave it a name, gave it someone else's name. I think it's a really whoa sentence.
Oh, cool. I got a whoa sentence. We should coin the whoa sentence.
Holy fuck sentence.
Holy fuck sentence.
Because how many times do we do that? It's like identifying where we attach two separate ideas together.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Like, is it oxytocin operating in my body that makes me think this person? So I think the rule is you kind of have to get to know the person if you're going to choose relationship. And maybe this is kind of backwards from how it's always been. Check this out. You can sleep with anybody you want as long as they're safe to you and care for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't marry or relationship with anybody you want. You have to be careful. People used to say, oh, you got to be careful who you sleep with. It's like, not really.
No, you have to be careful who you fall in love with. I mean, I guess if you aren't careful with who you sleep with, then yes, then you might end up in some dangerous situations, a disease or something. But
different kind of careful.
You have to be careful more with who you give your heart to, because that's long term.
What if, ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
What if you give your heart really easily, you just don't give your life to someone? What if you give your heart to anybody that you're with? Like, I give my heart to you when we're together. I share the space with you and I love you. And just so you know, you guys, were not having sex. So I don't mean that because I just realized that was fairly ambiguous, what just happened. But
you better be careful because my sexuality has been questioned lately. Someone asked me, was gay. So for the record, we put that on the record before, but I am not gay. Catherine and I are not gay together.
Yeah. I wonder where this was going before we went on this tangent. I've been approached by gay women my entire life and told that I am gay. Mm-hmm. And I just need to say, for those who believe in gaydar, I don't have that in me right now. At least not right now. I love not being approached about it because I don't have it. It's not. And even if maybe somebody could say someday that I have it in me and that was their idea, it's also not my choice. I'm choosing right now to be heterosexual. And I accept everyone's path, but accept mine too. Mine's heterosexual right now. I love that. There are certain things about that I can't get in any other kind of relationship. So,
well, there's been times where I was like, oh, I sometimes wish I were, because I feel like all my relationships with my women friends are so connected and we are just so on the same level. But then there's the component of, I really like sex with men.
Yeah, me too.
But you know, that comment I made was coming up just because I made a post recently about this fear that was cropping up for me, and fear of expressing myself, fear of being accepted, fear of being misunderstood, wanting to stand up in the world and tell my truth, but really scared of being that authentic. And there were people in my family who were like, are you okay? Are you gay? If you are, it's okay. We'll still love you. And I was like, wow, my fear of being misunderstood right there.
That was a really good one. That was a really great manifestation.
Yeah. And, also in that post, I was thanking you, right? I was like, oh, thank you, Catherine, for your support. I think I thanked one of my other girlfriends. And
yeah, you did.
Added to the juiciness of like, what could she be so afraid of? Well, it must be that.
I know. I thought it was really funny because that I've had this sort of history of people just suggesting that I should be physical with them, female. And I just thought it was really funny that there it was right out there on Facebook, like, oh, so maybe other people thought the same thing. Well, that's fine with me. You can think anything you want.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're getting.
Also like, hey, don't you think if that was what I was wanting to announce, that after a long post about fear and being authentic, that maybe I would have taken that opportunity to say, and by the way, I'm gay. Maybe the perfect time to announce it.
It would have, but you weren't saying that. So anyway, what I was saying a long time ago was that I feel like I share my heart or my love with you when we're together, when we're working, when we're talking, when we're sharing life, right? But I'm not possessive and not attached and not sexual. Like those are some of the categories that...
But then don't you think that means that the sexuality and the possession go together in a way of like when we become sexually intimate with somebody, then there's just that little bit of possessive or jealousy that can kind of come out? Because I was with someone recently who I'm totally not in love with, don't want to have a relationship with, totally lovely person, great friend. And it's like, but even though I don't have any of those feelings for him, I noticed that when I saw him talking with another woman, I was just like, And it's like, there was a possessiveness underlying that. And I was laughing at myself because I'm like, I don't even like them in that way. What the hell? Why would I feel jealous? And yet it was there. And I was like, oh, it's like, I don't know.
I have an idea why you would.
Why is that?
Well, because us women, us girls are built with part of us not thinking that our security and safety. So our more basic system thinks our security and safety comes from having a protector and a man around us. So we're actually evolving who we are by not going down that road. We're saying we're going to be okay by ourselves. And so our instincts, and which is going to lead to compulsion to act probably, are going to keep going, why aren't you saying something? Why aren't you ripping her eyes out? Why aren't you going over there? And then the part of you that knows more, that's moving in the direction of evolution is saying, I actually care for that man, but I don't want relationship with him. I want him to find someone else. And then I'll find someone else. You know,
I think it was a more selfish thing, though. I think it was more like, I want to be the only one you look at that way. Even though I don't want him in that way, there was just this, like, I want to be the only one. Just silly.
Right, but
it's like tantrum.
Yeah, but I'm going to base that outside your heart system and into your system of instinct that says, I need to be the only one. So women are classically have a thing called the center of the universe problem. This comes out of Alison Armstrong's work. Mm. But it also it's a method for survival for us. So what it does is it balances the part of us that's so pleasing and so willing to turn into a pretzel for a man or for anything we want or need. And we're willing to pretend like we have no needs for a man, and we're willing to do anything to secure the man. Mm-hmm. What balances that and keeps us from becoming dust under men's feet is the fact that we have this thing called the center of the universe complex, which leads to entitlements and the way we should be treated and how this happens, and which we are not particularly kind or loving about. We're just like, hey, this is how it's going to be. So
I'm still back on the thought of me being the center of the universe.
You like it, right?
I like it.
Well, you do it too, right? Like we don't even notice we're doing it, but really, what does this have to do with me is always the question that we're asking. It's like it's a survival question. Mm. So the other way to see yourself, and this also comes out of that same work, is centered in the universe. And that draws you into that field where the possessiveness just lets go.
That's such a different way of saying it, seeing it, understanding it.
Right.
So say that one more time. It's center of the universe versus
centered in the universe.
Centered in the universe. I think that was a holy fuck moment.
And Krista, for me, check this out in your body when I say it. You guys too. Everybody check this out. When I say center of the universe, feel your body, and then check in with any kind of princess, little maybe arrogance, maybe a little entitlement. Do you feel that when you say center of the universe? Like a princess, one who's not quite in herself fully, but she has a lot of entitlements, and she's been treated really well, and she's been patted on the head and told she's beautiful and cared for and all that kind of stuff, right? And then listen to the energy inside your body when I say centered in the universe.
I don't think, though, it has to be particular to female. Like, I think you can say everything you just said and open it up to the men as well.
Yeah, we just use different words for men.
Yeah. But I mean, we definitely know men who think they're the center of the universe.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that for men, though. It's more like, I'll have to find another word. It's something different that we do. Their characters of theirs is a little different, even though like they get their needs met fast. When they see their needs, they get them met really fast. We're much less likely to do that. What I wanted to say was the feeling tone in my body. And I agree that this is men too. I just don't have exactly the same words for it. I'll think of something. But when you think of that princessy kind of center of the universe with the little gold crown with all the diamonds in it, And then you think of this goddess, this woman who is centered in the universe, like her feet on the ground and tree roots into the ground, her hands up to the sky, and she's bringing heaven down onto the planet. That's who I want to be. I want to be able to be loving and present and have all the fruits of my body be available. And
Preach.
when I'm ready, I would choose a partner. Choosing a partner now being a completely different process than choosing to have sex with someone.
Well, also when you are choosing a partner from the place of being centered in the universe, you are going to be pulling in a match that is also centered in the universe. Whereas if you're coming from a place of you think you're the center of the universe, then your energetic match in a relationship is somebody else who thinks they are the center of the universe.
I don't know about you, Chris, but you ever had that experience?
I think I have once or twice or maybe 10 times. I'm ready to change it. I'm ready to change.
Yeah, me too. And I think this is interesting because now, Krista, I have talked to the three of us, right, at dinner one night.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've talked to a young woman who's 20, and we're all talking about the same thing. That's remarkable. We're talking about what if you have more than one partnership going on? What if you are in some ways involved with different people while you're finding your way?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, are you single or are you dating? It's like, where is your love life?
I'm kind of like jealous of the younger generation because I feel like that was always what I was wanting to have permission to do, and I never got to do it. And so then it would come out in all these weird ways in my life. But I feel like they're getting to do everything I wanted to do, and that now they're going to get to make, I won't say better decisions, but more conscious decisions and be in more control of their bodies. And I don't know.
So that's available to you right now, isn't it?
It is. But I feel like at this point I'm having to undo all the layers of guilt and shame and blah, blah, blah that I've put on myself because of, what I experienced during those years.
Yeah. The generations are like evolutionary ladders, right? They're getting to stand on top of what we've learned. Like in the 60s, they went crazy and they jumped ahead like to a place, but they also fell backwards because it was so far out. There was a big backlash afterwards, and so it's kind of been like going up and down. Mm-hmm. Now it feels much more grounded. And it feels like women are really choosing for themselves. Like, do I want this? Oh, yeah, I want that.
Well, it kind of reminds me of recently. I'll say recently. I'm ready to claim it. I was in a situation where I was out and about. There was a party around town, and there was a guy there that I looked at and I was like, oh, he looks like my type. I was just sitting there and I wanted to talk with him, but I was like frozen. I'm like, how do I even get into a conversation with a stranger? It was something I had never had to do in my whole life. Now, maybe I've been at a bar and there was somebody sitting beside me and it was like we could overhear each other's conversation and then we could just like chime in. That feels like an easy segue. But this was like, oh, there is someone across from me. And if I leave this party and don't say anything, I'm going to kick myself. So I have to say something. What do I say? And I was terrified, and because I had never had to take that initiator role.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
Good for you.
But I did it.
And then
it was awesome. I mean, he was so open, and I ended up going and sitting by him, and we ended up talking. We had the most synchronistic conversation. There was so many similarities and parallel life happenings, and it was such a fun conversation. And living where we live, there's not a huge pool of single men in my age group. And so this felt like somebody who was actually in my age demographic, which was nice. but they don't come along that often here. At least that's the story I'm putting out there.
That's your story.
That's my story. And so I've had this fear of like, how am I ever going to find anybody? And I'm in this little town and I need to move or have to go somewhere else in order to find it, blah, blah, blah. Or I have to go on Tinder and dating sites and everything. And then there's that part of me inside that goes, oh my God, do I really think that God can't bring me the perfect person when I'm ready for it? Like, silly. So anyways, this was kind of that moment where I realized that if I can be open to it, God can just drop me someone right here in the middle of this party, in the middle of this small town, and he can be interesting and handsome and very easy to talk to, and we can have a lot in common.
Can I segue into what Carolyn Myss would say about that?
Oh, please.
She would say, you know how many angels it took to get you to sit right where you were at that party and him to be right across from you so you could have that experience and you could get together? They've been working on this for years.
Wow. Yes.
Right? So you're not, that's the thing. We talk about this stuff. It's like there's the level of what we're doing, but there's this level where there's spiritual, there's so much things happening in the spiritual realm. And it takes your breath away.
And we get so caught up in the little minutia of the human life of like, oh, I live in a small town and I have to mastermind everything. And it's like, no, relax, girl. Like, just sit back, ask for what you want and see what spirit brings you. And literally like that morning I was getting really clear. I was like, okay, God, show me somebody. And it was like, boop, okay. But I had to be willing to believe that it was available to me.
Yeah, you have to, this is really crucial in this world today is we're learning that we have to use our imagination to create our lives and that we are for women, I would say we are the queens in our lives. We are the ones who create the realm that we live in. And whatever we let happen, then that's okay in our realm. And whatever we don't let happen, it's not okay in our realm. And men are kings in their realms, and they are doing the same thing. And so when you come together, a full queen and a full king, bringing these two realms together, you have to obviously negotiate some things around that. But mainly, all you're saying is we're these two incredibly beautiful, powerful people who want to hang out together. But it's not going to be everybody. So, if you just want sex, you should just go do that. Need to worry about and if you like him, then find out if he's got some good values and if you have anything in common, if he's even capable of standing in his power and being the man you want. And maybe younger women, maybe there's room for princes and maybe there's room for other kinds of men, all sorts of things. But when you want a man to be really solid in his own knowing, does he have integrity? What does that look like to him? What does he call that? Is that a value of yours? Is there integrity in your queendom? Mm-hmm. So if you got to match on all those things. And so many times we go rushing in because we're in love and it's a huge disaster. That's why we have like 50% divorce rate or 70, God knows what it is.
Yeah, because in that moment, I literally felt like I fell in love. And I was like, wow, I can do that quickly. I mean, I know I wasn't in love, but I had that moment of like, it just felt so like alive. And I haven't felt that way in a while. And now I'm dealing with now he hasn't contacted me. Because we talked for 2 hours and he could have been anywhere at that party. He could have been with his friends and he was choosing to sit and talk with me. And at the end, he kept putting his arm around me and hugging me, and he asked for my email, which was a little strange because we are in the age of texting, but he was going to send me this article or some information off one of the conversations we were having. So I was like, okay. So he's typing in my email and he sends it right there on the spot, like, nice to meet you. So me, in my wanting to be a little bit more in my power a little bit later on, I responded to the email with like a not over the top, but like, hey, it was really nice meeting with you and it was so lovely chatting and finding someone who likes to talk about the same things I like to talk about. And hey, you're pretty cute to look at as well. And, have a great rest of your time here. So it was, I say not over the top because it wasn't like, hey, do you want to like come over tonight? Or, I wasn't playing that, but I was throwing out a little bait. And I definitely was hoping that he would take it. And As of now, he has not. So I'm just going with God must be protecting me
or
from that.
Or
yes.
he's got something else going on in his life and it's not his time. Like I think there's a tendency in us to be very, very pushy with what we want and a little possessive about, oh, we saw something looks really good. I want it. And
you know why?
Why?
Because, well, for you and I, especially with where we're at in our lives right now, we know what we want really quickly.
Yeah.
Or at least I'll speak for myself. Like I'm so much clearer on when I meet someone that's like, who's in the wheelhouse of what I want. Like I know I can put it together. And so I move so fast that when I meet someone like that, it's like, oh, I just want to then get to know them and I don't want to play games. I don't want to do the whole like, oh, I could have waited. I could have not responded to that email for like a week. I could have let it linger, but that's just not who I am at this point in my life. I want to if there's energy there, I want to roll with it. And then if it's not meant to be anything, then I would just want to know kind of quicker and just, okay, cut that energetic tie and
okay. Okay, so I have a question for you. Since you would be making it up if you don't know why you haven't heard from him.
I'd be making it up. What does that mean? Meaning
you're making up a story about why you haven't heard from him. You know, he could be, his mother could have gotten sick and he's gone home to take care of her. He could be across the country at a business meeting. He could be in Japan for all you know, right? So you don't know why he hasn't reached out to you, but you're immediately, like all other human beings, making up a story that he doesn't like you, that he's not interested, right? Because he didn't get right back to you. And I just don't believe it. I think we make up that story a lot and we lose a lot of opportunities to be connected to people. So I was like, what if that wasn't true? What would be the best story you could make up for yourself? Not about why he hasn't, but what's possible. Like if you were just making up a story about what's possible with this human that you've met, and you realize you don't know him, so you have to fill in some of the blanks, right? But
filling a lot of
what's possible, is what's possible that you get to know him and that really he's just really busy and focused at work, and which you love because that means he's responsible and he has a job, and he also has friends and he has a family. All the things you would want a person to have, he's got. So he doesn't have time to text you back all the time, or email you or whatever you guys.
But I have all of those things, and it's like, and I have time that if I really feel a connection with someone, that I can say, "Hey, it was really great meeting you, and I'd like to see you again." Yeah. There is time. If you're like someone,
you got to give him a break. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. He is not a girl. To your comment before about sometimes you feel attracted to other women and wish you were gay because maybe that would mean you would have more harmonious relationships, because you feel like girls and you just have the simpatico. Guys aren't girls. So they're never going to give us what our girlfriends give us. They operate completely differently. They're amazing, they're loving, they're kind, they're generous, they're powerful, they're protective, they're fun, they're great to have sex with. All that stuff is true, but they're never going to be girls. And we're just going to have
too long. It hurts my feelings that they don't get back to me right away.
So I let myself hurt my feelings with my stories when they don't get back to me right away.
Here's the story I've been telling myself lately because, I've been on Bumble and I'll have very lovely guys who reach out and connect with, and we have 3 or 4 sentences back and forth. And then my story is that, they find me on social media or find me on my website and they read all my stuff and they're like, and then they just bail.
Isn't that a good thing?
It is, but there's a part of me that's Tinder. It feels like, not Tinder like Tinder, the app, but not T-I, but T-E.
Get the Virginia accent out of here.
Yeah. Tender.
There we go.
I get very tender I think that they read about me and won't like what they read.
I don't think that you can know that is what's happening.
I know.
But I know you feel very exposed by your website now and by your work that's on the internet, and that you feel like people might reject you because of it.
Yeah. I'm obviously holding for the vision too of my man is going to be able to look at that website and go, yes, I'll take some of that.
Exactly. Why would you want to go on 100 first dates if you could go on one date that was the best one you've ever been on and it was amazing? I think it's the more they know about you, the better. Well, if they don't want it, don't bring them in to work on it.
True. I mean, I should go back to that sentence of I feel protected by spirit. So when I'm centered and I'm, in
Yes.
my higher consciousness, I get the level that spirit is protecting me from all the crazy scenarios I could get myself into.
Or even just ones that aren't for you. People who don't want to talk like you talk or listen to people who talk like you talk. It's just a choice. Like they're just like, nah, I don't get that thing. Great.
Yeah.
Don't come here because I'm doing this thing all the time.
Well, and let's be clear, you and I are both in this up-leveling of our lives right now. So for me, if I would have met someone even 5 months ago, it would have been a complete disaster because I would have been calling someone who is my energetic match at that time. Whereas now I feel like I'm clearing. So every month that I give myself to keep growing and clearing, I'm up-leveling the type of person that I'm going to call in. I don't want to have to wait till I'm perfect to find somebody because then I'll never find somebody because I'll never.
But you're not perfect and they're not perfect. You're just looking for a match where someone, you'll feel it, right? That guy, it's like he was close. If he's not the one, he's just close. Like,
and that was my takeaway from it. It was just little nugget of God will bring it. Like, I was thinking that God couldn't bring it to this small town. And this was just the little nudge of like, yes, I can, Krista. Just wait. And if you think, here's this little sample of what can be brought to you. And if he's not the one, if he never calls back, then it's like, oh, there must be someone really great then around the corner.
Someone who's really great for you. Like the fact that someone doesn't respond to you means they're not really great for you because you want to be responded to, right?
Right.
But you also need to give people who are just getting to know you a little space. Like you said, when you're centered and you're focused on your own life and your own career and your own kids and your own million things you have going on, instead of over-focusing on them, we can add a lot of space to these things and find out that people come back to check on us. Like, oh yeah, that girl was great. I just got so busy with work then.
And maybe he had to get past, here's my other story. He probably had to get past the story that I had 3 kids.
Well, maybe he doesn't want 3 kids and he's not your guy because you never want a man who's going to reject your children.
Oh, of course not.
That would just be, and women make that choice sometimes because they really want a man, but they get stuck in this choice between a man and their family. And then they get the man, but the family doesn't get got. And they're always, it's not great.
No, I'm holding out. I am not sacrificing anything.
And here's the crucial moment.
Yep.
I'm afraid I'm going to lose you. So I'll do anything it takes to keep you. And that means we're out of integrity right away. Because what we're playing for is a person to fill us up, not our integrity and authenticity, which you and I are on such a trail with, right? We're trying to find it. It's like you want that guy to authentically never email you back if he doesn't want 3 kids. He's not going to tell you that.
For sure.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't even owe you that, right? He's just done. But you want that. You don't want the guy that tells you he wants 3 kids and then doesn't.
Well, that's why I know I'm protected. My soul knows I'm protected, but my humanness is like, I'm lonely and I want, some attention and all the other stuff.
You just go find someone to have sex with.
Well, I'm trying. I'm trying. He just wants that too. If he would have responded to my email, maybe that would have been my next sentence.
You're hoping he listens to this podcast. That's all you're doing. So I have one other thought.
Okay.
What if you got super authentic and sent him back an email saying exactly what you want?
Well, because I don't want to. Well, because I don't want to say, "Hey, I just want a fuck buddy." Because maybe if
that's not what you want.
Well, I'm not saying I don't want that, but I also am open to somebody who can really. I don't know. I want to have fun with them, and not that I want a relationship, but it would be nice to. I don't know.
Maybe
what the fuck do I know?
Right. Krista, what I heard you say was that you actually do want someone in your life. And there's some things about that, who that person has to be. I'm not saying it's exclusive.
Right.
I'm not saying you're ready for that, but you want more than just, I mean, that's why you want him to respond to you. You want more than just a party.
I'm wanting experiences right now because I don't feel like in my life, like that's why I'm jealous of the 20-year-olds right now, because I feel like they're getting the freedom to have a lot of experiences where I felt like that was a taboo when I was growing up, to have experiences. When I was growing up, it's like, no, you get a long-term boyfriend and you go with it. So I'm wanting at this point in my life experiences, but I'm wanting the experiences to be with very high level, top notch, in touch, conscious, loving, sexy guys.
Do you know who's in charge of getting that and creating it and making it in her world?
Do you want me to say me?
I do. I want you to say you. I want you to say you and your connection to the spiritual world.
I was going to say, I was getting caught on that because yes, I'm responsible to being open to receiving that. And then God is ultimately responsible for bringing whatever experiences through me.
Yeah. And you're reading that Dispenza book.
I just finished it today.
Right. So you know about energy and magnetism, intention and magnetism and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're powerful. That's the whole point of this book. The book we're talking about is called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
And it must be an awesome book because we've brought it up in every podcast so far.
Yeah, I've given it to so many people, and
me too. I just passed mine on.
I just got my one copy back. I just got mine back, and now I can finish it. But the point is, he's making a really strong case for you are a God, and your intention matters, and you're not separate from the universe. You are the universe. So centered in the universe is exactly who you are because you are it. So then you let yourself fall into that reality. So you just pull everything towards you that you want.
Well, and I think that that's kind of a brilliant place to end on. We can throw this out to our audience. It's like, what do you want to put energy into creating for yourself?
Great question. What do you want from men? Are there times when you want just sex and you call it love just to make it okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Are there times you want love and you won't talk about that and you're accepting just sex because you think they will reject you and at least this is better than nothing and you think that nothing is all that's there for you?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark. Ask yourself these really interesting questions. They're big questions.
Mm-hmm.
What if you have the freedom to have it any way you want because you're creating it? What if?
Or what about if right now you just decide that you are responsible for creating it? What if?
Awesome. All right. Love you.
Ooh, holy fuck, I love you too.
Bye, darling.
See you next time, baby.
See you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
We want to connect with all you lovers of sex, spirituality, and all things holy. But unfortunately, you've got to make the first move, baby. That means heading over to holyfuckpodcast.com to find our new episodes and all the juicy deets about Catherine and Krista. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Holy Fuck Podcast to get up-to-date info on our new episodes and current happenings. And if you are seeking a more one-on-one experience, check out Catherine's offerings at catherinemcclellan.com and visit Krista Kim Coaching to see what's shaking in Krista's world. Your spiritual evolution will thank you.